Xbox upcoming Avowed will be including pronouns in their game, and as you can imagine, people are not happy. All that and more in today's video. By the way, while you're here, like, favorite, and hit that noti bell. Thanks.
Every time a game gets delayed, it seems that they get further away from their initial vision. And while there are a lot of titles that have released over the past few years that have pushed identity politics, that have chosen body types A and B or 1 and 2, that have added pronouns to games, it seems that Xbox's upcoming first-person fantasy RPG Avowed is going to do the same exact thing.
You know, like, what I'm having a hard time understand is that it's proven to not work, and people are still doing it.
Few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I can't say I'm very shocked to hear that developers are going out of their way to add things like pronouns to their games. Absolutely pointless additions. You should just have a male and a female. It should be that simple. But now developer Obsidian Entertainment and publisher Xbox Game Studios' upcoming first-person fantasy RPG Avowed will feature pronouns.
To be fair, in a fantasy setting, there are races that reproduce unisex. Right, like a frog, right? They have no gender. So in that context, I don't have an issue with it, but I'm fairly certain that, as we see in this video, it probably won't be used in that context.
This is happening a lot in video games right now when companies are making games and they're focused more on providing identity politics than a genuinely amazing high quality experience. Look at Dragon Age the Veilguard. The character creator was Mental Illness Simulator. You got to choose pronouns, you could add top surgery scars.
I thought that was ridiculous. Being able to add top surgery to your character in Dragon Age the Veilguard is insane to me. Are you telling me that in a world where magic is real, they don't have some type of gender swapping potion, you have to get the surgery? If you want to put a trans person in your game, go ahead, I don't care. But as soon as you start making it about virtue signaling, that's when I start feeling a little weird about the entire situation. And in Dragon Age the Veilguard, that's exactly what they were doing. They were not trying to be like, oh, these are people that have been part of the Dragon Age history forever. Mind you, there are non-binary people and trans people in Dragon Age 1, 2, and 3. And then Veilguard decided to bring top surgery like it was a completely new thing that has never been done before. And honestly, I kind of think it's disrespectful. I think if most people that wanted to transition could transition seamlessly where no one would be able to tell the difference, if they could change on a biological level, I'm sure they would. And you're deciding to like, hey, let's throw their scars just to remind everybody that they're trans.
When you got in the game, you had characters like Tosh who were not really characters that were well written. They simply existed in order to push a specific narrative, to add terms like non-binary into the game, which is absurd. I don't want modern terminology in my video games, especially when we're talking about a dragon fantasy game. I don't want to hear about transgender, non-binary. I shouldn't have to pick my pronouns, but we're seeing on character sheets that yes, characters do feature, at least in this menu, pronouns.
See, that's also one thing I completely agree with. If I am playing a fantasy game, keyword fantasy, I am probably trying to escape reality. I don't want to hear about politics. Real world politics. I don't want to hear about trans people, and I don't want to hear about anything that is, I don't want to hear modern language. Could you imagine if Kratos was like, I'm non-binary and I go by they, them pronouns? Okay, we get it. The Greeks, they were banging everybody. It didn't matter man, fish, woman. And I'm okay with that because it fits the setting. If you want to have non-binary people and trans people in your video game, make up a word for it. Make up the word that fits in a fantasy setting, and I guarantee you'll receive way less backlash than right now. Proof is Dragon Age, because they have people that are non-binary. I think in the Kunari, in the second game, I believe they talk about people who are like, they're men but they feel like women, and they're women but they feel like men. And guess what? Nobody gave a damn because it fit the setting.
The inclusion of pronouns into the game was discovered after YouTuber Force Gaming shared an early review of the game after he was allowed to play around 20 hours of it. Now, first of all, as a content creator myself, I think that this is ridiculous. I do not think that it should be this way. Content creators, sure, could get early play testing if they are at some sort of event like a PAX, for example, and there are booths, but I do not think content creators should be able to get full access to a game, especially this early. It's not even releasing anytime soon, and it has been delayed multiple times. But during his review, while discussing the leveling system,
Well, I'll be completely honest, I have no problem with content creators getting games super early because I feel like most content creators might be, not all of them, mind you, not all of them for sure, but I feel like there's more content creators that are going to give you their actual opinion versus a gaming journalist. A gaming journalist, they got the game because they're journalists and they want to stay in the company's good graces. A content creator that is making has multiple revenue streams, not just from reviewing games or getting like review copies, they're a lot more likely to actually give their opinion. So I'm actually completely fine if a content creator gets the game at the same time as a games journalist, or even gets it way before a game. I just want someone to play the game and give me an actual opinion that then I can base my purchase off, and that's someone that has a direct benefit to giving a good review to the game. You know what I'm saying?
he showed off some of the game's menus where it clearly identifies his character with he, him pronouns. So it looks pretty standard. There's an abilities, character, inventory, journal, and map tabs, but it says that he is a level 6. It shows the experience needed for the next level, war hero, and then he/him. And you would imagine that if they are including pronouns, there's not just going to be he/him and she/her. There's most likely also going to be a they/them, and who knows what else they're going to add to this. Now,
I'm not gonna lie, she looked disgusted when she said they/them. There's gonna be a they/them. I'm sorry.
I have to be honest, I think that this game looks really rough around the edges, judging by the more recent gameplay trailers and teasers that we've seen. It really does not look like a super high quality experience. Now, because it is Obsidian, I have higher expectations, but their last giant release, The Outer Worlds, wasn't my favorite game either. I felt that that was also pretty okay. I didn't think that it was terrible, don't get me wrong. I just felt like it was quite an underwhelming experience, and it truly did not do anything super unique that we hadn't seen in a game before. And Avowed, to me, looks similar to something like Skyrim in terms of the magic system and the first-person combat, but I just don't think that it looks like a super high-quality experience. Maybe once it comes out, the pronouns really won't matter. And
well, I think it's a little unfair to expect developers to make something completely brand new, especially if you're jumping in a fantasy setting, right? Because before games you had movies, before movies you had books. To expect a developer to come up with something new in their fantasy setting, a little bit difficult. However, since you're going into a genre that has a plethora of media that you can reference and use as guidelines, you have no excuse to have a game looking like, you guessed it, ass.
And it will be an absolutely fantastic video game, though seeing this already is pretty worrying because this is the direction that the mainstream industry has headed in over the past couple of years, pushing things like gender ideology when people just want really great, high quality experiences. But to top that off, we never had heard anything like this was going to be featured in the game, though now it is, and it's a little bit suspicious because Microsoft, Xbox Game Studios' parent company obviously, has made it abundantly clear it wants to normalize this. The company released its Gaming for Everyone's product inclusion framework earlier this year, where it instructs developers to answer a set of questions. Some of these questions include, what steps have you taken to ensure characters are represented respectfully and authentically? Are you reinforcing any negative gender stereotypes?
I was willing to give this game a chance until this second question. Are you reinforcing any negative gender stereotypes? My boy, it is medieval times where gender stereotypes run rampant. Would you believe that in medieval times there were freaking gender fucking stereotypes? Like, okay, well, let's keep reading before I give myself an aneurysm. Are you unnecessarily introducing gender and gender barriers into your code or design? What does that even mean? I don't even know what that means. Putting that in your code. Are you creating playable female characters that are equal in skill and ability to their male peers? Okay. Again, I did not have an issue with the pronouns as long as it was just a pronoun. But now it seems like we're diving into the virtual signaling territories, and it looks like they're... Do they have exaggerated body proportions? Which means girls with big tits are a no, because everybody knows big boobs don't exist. That's only in... Can't say fantasy because it's a fantasy game. That's only in science fiction. Okay? That's only in science fiction that girls have big breasts. The vibe I'm getting from this question list is their main focus is virtual signaling and not making a good game. And I rest my case.
Types. Are you unnecessarily introducing gender and gender barriers into your code or design? Are you creating playable female characters that are equal in skill and ability to their male peers? Are your female characters equipped with clothing and armor that's realistic, that fits their tasks? Do they have exaggerated body proportions? When the story allows, do you show male characters who display a full range of emotions, including joy, sadness, and vulnerability, which is absolutely fucking ridiculous. Developers should not need companies to hold their hands. If a developer and a team of creatives make something that they feel confident in, that should be the end of the story. But because Microsoft decided to release this inclusion framework earlier this year, it's led a lot of people to question, what were the games like before developers actually had to take these pieces of information, these rules, into consideration? I personally hate hearing this, that developers cannot tell the story they want because they are being controlled by their parent companies and by higher-ups at companies. If a developer feels confident in the content that they've made, that should be at the end of the story. That should be what they're releasing.
What I want to personally know is how much money does a parent company need to lose? How much money do y'all need to lose before you stop doing this stupidity? It's not working. It ain't working. Look at all the games that came out this year with all this DEI nonsense. They pretty much all flopped. Okay? Not all of them, granted. Not all of them. I'm willing to go maybe say 90% of them. Any game or piece of entertainment, media, whatever you want to call it, if they prioritize DEI, inclusivity, equality, those shows go all to nowhere. She-Hulk, Batgirl, Tales of Kanzaru, Dragon Age of Veilguard, The Squad Ends the Justice League. None of these have been successful by any metric. And yet you're still trying to insert it in games. How much money do you need to lose so that you stop doing this? Okay? Nobody wants it. Please stop.
Said, take all of this with a grain of salt, but be mindful of the fact that there are pronouns on character tabs and character sheets, and one would assume if there's he/him, there's going to be she/her and they/them. Otherwise, if there was two options, why would you even add them in the first place? And that also means that it could seep into the gameplay itself, that there could be very annoying characters who only exist to push a specific narrative, like Tosh, for example. Who doesn't want a Tosh in their game? These devs will ask, and then we will cringe visibly because that's the way that they think. Why not add one or two characters that are extremely annoying? So, like I usually say, do not pre-order. Wait until the game has released or you've heard reviews release from your favorite content creators. Even if you still trust Access Media, if you have a YouTuber that you really like, maybe an ex-user who does reviews, wait until the game is fully released to decide whether or not you want to purchase this. And hey, while I've loved some of the games Obsidian has made in the past, I'm staying very skeptical just because of the state of the industry. So I will be keeping my eye on this situation. If there are any updates, of course, I will post them on social media or make a follow-up video. But for now, that's all that I really had to discuss. If you enjoyed this, make sure to give it a like. And if you didn't, give it a dislike.
All right, that's a good video. Make sure you leave a like. I don't even need to go look at the game. This is a definite, it's going to be a definite skip. It's going to be a definite skip. When you have questions like, are the female characters being represented in an equal manner to your male characters? Do you have any reinforced gender stereotypes? Do you have any exaggerated body parts? Listen, people come in all shapes and sizes, but these games are forcing you to be in a box. And honestly, I'm just not interested in it anymore, okay? I'm sick of wasting money in the hopes a game is going to be good. If you see a bunch of DI nonsense in your game at the very beginning, you could probably assume that the game is going to be trash, and you should definitely just wait for someone else to buy it. So like that, you don't have to spend your hard-earned cash. That's going to be it for today's video. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. While you're down there, like, share, favorite, and subscribe, because we're on the way to 400. And if you don't want to help, well, remember, at the end of the day, I'm just some guy on the internet, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Yeah, Janet, that's the whole point.